So let's talk about the second of the personal competencies, self-management. What does that mean exactly?
Self-management is what you do with your emotions once you're aware of them. You're self-managing when you perceive an emotion and then you choose to act based on that emotion. So a lot of people have the mistaken idea that self-management is about stuffing your emotions down or somehow making them cease to exist, when the reality is that's impossible. The emotions, the way our brains are wired, in fact, we're hardwired to give emotions the upper hand, to have we have an emotional reaction to events before we have a rational ability to think about it. So an adept self-manager is someone who is aware of the emotion and then decides how to channel that into the behavior that they want, how to make, to be more effective, to achieve what they want from this emotion within the parameters of what they're feeling.
So this is about making a choice, so more of a response than a reaction is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. And if you are self-aware, if you understand the emotion, you understand the limits of what you can do with it. Sometimes if you're very angry, let's say, and you're just really not thinking clearly, the best action, the best self-management might just be to remove yourself from the situation. Whereas another emotion, you might actually try to fuel that and get more of it to actually, let's say, build the nerve to do something. So really, that awareness enables you to manage yourself effectively and respond to the emotion effectively.
So Travis, when this works well, I'm in control of my emotions, I'm at least aware of them, I'm making choices about how to respond. What about when this doesn't go so well?
When self-management is not present, you have what's called an emotional hijacking. This is something that our brains are hardwired to enable, and you have to counteract that. So we experience events emotionally first. So anything that we experience in the world around us, right? Anything we hear, anything we see, anything that we touch, goes through the base of our brain and travels through an area called the limbic system. And so literally, and by the way, the limbic system is where emotions are generated. So we literally have an emotional reaction to events before we have a rational one. When you don't engage your rational brain, when you don't respond to your emotions and manage them, you have this emotional hijacking. Now, I'm sure all of us can imagine what that looks like. We've certainly seen people who are in the throes of an emotional hijacking. But the place where a lack of self-management takes people by surprise is managing good emotions. This is something that people fail to recognize, is that oftentimes the positive emotions need to be managed as well. You see this in organizations when things are going well, when the product that you've developed has really reached the ripe phase of the life cycle and you're selling it hand over fist. People tend to think that they walk on water. They don't realize that the same rational, sound decision-making and management is what's going to secure their future. And that's sort of this bias where you can actually have an emotional hijacking with positive emotions as well as negative ones. And you always want to temper that and be aware of what it is you're feeling and why, and sort of choose the most effective route.
Very interesting. When I was in the investment business, we called it mistaking a bull market for genius.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what I'm hearing you say is this is taking our circumstances into consideration, whether they're positive or negative, and accurately understanding what control we may have over the situation. In a positive situation, we may think we have more control over it than we actually do, and in a negative, we may take more blame for the situation than we actually should. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and if you're adept at that, you'll understand that those positive emotions are actually leading you to make mistakes. They're clouding your judgment in the same way that negative emotions do. So that awareness and then managing the emotion, and you manage it by making better decisions and saying, you know what, I really probably don't walk on water. Maybe I shouldn't take this next big risk. I don't think I would take that risk if I wasn't feeling this way about how great things are going right now. Or maybe I should. Maybe this is the time. But the idea is you have the awareness, you understand it, and then you make a rational response to what it is that you're feeling.